Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts.
It's always wild to be here.
I have to say, looking at what we're covering today, I am genuinely excited because we are tackling the one thing that keeps every single person in business awake at night. Prediction. The crystal ball problem. And specifically how we try to solve it now. Because let's be honest, the typical methodology is what? A bunch of people staring at a spreadsheet and the loudest person just vibes it out.
Right. It's strategy by vibes or, management by gut feeling.
Which is pretty terrifying when you think about the dollars on the line. But we are diving into a piece by Ed Fassio, who's an AI evangelist, titled Predicting the Future with Generative AI and Practical Accuracy.
And what's really interesting here is the date. He's writing this from the perspective of February 2026.
So this isn't the Wild West of AI anymore.
Not at all. This is a mature landscape. He's talking about his AI transformation class where he's literally watching skeptics, HR leaders, finance managers go from, oh, AI is interesting, to, wait, I can actually do this.
And that really is the hook, isn't it? This isn't for PhDs anymore. But I want to start with the mission he lays out, because he's very careful to say this is not about building Skynet.
Yeah, that's a crucial distinction. He's not selling you a magical oracle that's going to predict lottery numbers. This is about taking predictive analytics and making it accessible.
Accessible enough for a marketing lead or a supply chain manager to actually use.
Exactly. It's about moving from, I hope this happens, to there is a, say, 72% probability this happens, and here are the reasons why.
From I think to the data suggests.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's talk about the target he sets, because this is where I think a lot of people might raise an eyebrow. He's aiming for 70% plus practical accuracy.
Right.
Now, if I'm a CEO, I hear 70% and I think that's a C minus, That sounds like a coin flip with a bit of a thumb on the scale. Why is 70% the goal?
It's a great question because it does sound low if you're thinking about a math test. But in the messy world of business, 70% is. It's massive leverage.
How so?
Well, think about it. If you're currently running on gut instinct, your accuracy is probably hovering around 50-50.
Or worse, yeah.
Or worse. It's biased by what you want to happen. So moving from 50% to 70% is a huge improvement in decision quality.
It's the difference between gambling and investing.
That's a perfect way to put it. But Fassio also makes a technical point here we need to unpack. You can't just slap a percentage on everything. He splits problems into two types.
Right. Classification and forecasting.
Exactly. Classification is the simple stuff. Yes or no. Will this customer churn? Will this invoice be late?
In that case, 70% accuracy makes sense. You got 7 out of 10, right?
Yep. But then you have forecasting. Like, how many units would we sell in Q3? You can't really be 70% accurate on a number like, 4,052.
It's not a pass-fail.
Right. You get an error rate. How far off were you? But, and this is my favorite part of the article, he says, none of that matters if you can't beat the baseline.
The baseline. This feels like the big reality check.
It is the ultimate reality check. A baseline is just the simplest, dumbest guess you can make.
Like next month will be the same as last month.
Exactly that. If you sold 100 units in January, your baseline guess for February is 100. No AI, no stats, just a copy-paste.
So that's your floor.
That's your floor. And Fassio is brutal about this. He basically says if your fancy AI model can't beat that simple rule, you don't have a model.
You have distractions.
You have an expensive hobby.
I bet there are so many data projects out there right now that are performing worse than a simple formula, and nobody wants to admit it.
Oh, absolutely. Because complexity feels smart. But Fassio's rule is simple. Be significantly better than the dumb guess. If the baseline is 50% and you hit 70%, you've won.
Okay, so the goal is to beat the dumb guess. Now, how do we do it? Fassio talks about a very specific 3-tool stack.
And this is fascinating because it's not about one magic tool. It's about using specialists for each part of the job.
Let's break it down. First up, he calls ChatGPT the engine.
Think of ChatGPT as your coder and your data janitor. It's the hands-on workshop. You give it the raw data and you say, clean this up, find the outliers, write me the Python code for a model.
So it's doing the grunt work.
It's doing the 80% of the job that data scientists, frankly, hate. But he weighs a huge, huge red flag here.
Privacy. The don't upload your entire company's salary data warning.
Yes. Do not put PII, personally identifiable information, into a public model. You have to use an enterprise workspace or anonymize the data.
Got it. So ChatGPT is the engine. Then he has Copilot Notebooks as the context.
And there's a real functional difference here. ChatGPT is great at raw math. Copilot is connected to your company's corporate brain.
So it has access to your emails, your internal documents.
Exactly. It knows that when your company says churn, you mean something very specific. It aligns the math with the actual culture of your business.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the third tool, which I thought was brilliant, Google NotebookLM as the auditor.
This is the trust layer. The biggest issue with AI is it just makes stuff up, right? Hallucination. NotebookLM is different. It's designed to be grounded in your source documents. You feed it your past reports, your research, and you can interrogate it.
So you can ask, show me where that came from.
And it gives you citations. It points to the paragraph in your own document. So it's not, trust me, I'm a robot. It's, here is the evidence from your own files.
I love that. The engine for work, the context for relevance, the auditor for trust.
It's a whole checks and balances system.
So we've got the stack. Now let's get to the claim that made me say, whoa, hold on. Fassio says you can do this, build a practical model in one afternoon. Yeah. One afternoon. I mean, that sounds like influencer hype, not serious data science.
It does sound aggressive, I get it. But he's not talking about building the perfect world-changing model. He's talking about building the first value-generating model. It's about speed.
Okay, walk me through his timeline, because he actually puts a clock on it.
He does. Step 1, define the target. He gives this 15 minutes.
That seems short.
It is, but it's where most projects fail. You have to be incredibly specific. You can't just say, predict bad customers.
What does bad even mean?
Exactly. It has to be a contract. Like, predict which customers will return more than 20% of their purchases in the first 90 days.
Specificity is key. Okay, what's step 2?
Step 2, prep the data set, 30 to 60 minutes. This is where you use the engine, ChatGPT. You just ask it to find the holes in your data before you try to do any math.
Then step 3, the baseline.
30 minutes. Just try to beat the average. And if you can't, he says to stop. Do not pass go. It's a fail-fast mechanism.
I like that discipline. Okay, step 4 is where he says 95% of accuracy claims go to die. Validate, honestly.
This is the most critical part. You have to split your data. You train on the past, you test on the future, and you must keep the time order intact.
We're going to come back to that because that sounds like a trap. What's the last step?
Step 5, visualize the story. Another 30 minutes. This is about making it useful for executives. They don't want a spreadsheet. They want a scenario view.
The what happens if button.
Exactly. If we change X, what happens to our probability? It turns the model from a report into a tool.
So in theory, in a few hours, you've gone from a messy spreadsheet to something that's at least better than just vibes.
It's directionally correct, and that's often all you need.
However, you mentioned a trap. Fassio calls it data leakage. And that sounds like a cybersecurity thing, but it's not, is it?
It's way more insidious because it's self-inflicted. Data leakage is, it's the forecasting version of accidentally giving the student the answer key with the test.
But you don't even realize you're doing it.
You don't.
Yeah.
It happens when your training data has information that reveals the outcome information you wouldn't actually have in the real world at the moment of prediction.
Okay, give me the example from the article, the cancellation date one.
Right. So you want to predict if a customer will cancel. You feed the AI your whole database, which has a column called cancellation date.
Okay.
For active customers, that column is empty. For customers who already canceled, it has a date in it. The AI looks at this and goes, I figured it out. If there's a date in this column, they cancel.
And it reports back 99.9% accuracy.
And you think you're a genius, but then you try to use it in the real world to predict future cancellations. Well, for a current customer, that date is always empty. So the model says, nope, they're safe.
And it completely falls apart.
It's useless. It was cheating by looking into the future.
The AI is efficiently lazy. It just found the shortcut.
It will always find the shortcut. That's why the golden rule is you have to simulate the blindness of the present moment. Strict chronological separation.
That sounds harder than it seems.
It's the #1 reason these projects fail.
Let's talk about a success then. Fassio shares a case study about a services firm trying to predict late project delivery.
Yeah, the eternal question, right? Are we on track? And the answer is always, I think so. until it's too late.
The worst kind of surprise.
So this firm used the stack. They put in data like project size, how many times the client changed their mind, scope churn, things like that.
And what did they get?
They got to 72% directional accuracy.
There's that 70-ish% number again.
Exactly. It wasn't perfect. But the real value was they found the drivers. They discovered that scope churn and delayed client approvals were the biggest red flags.
So it wasn't just a prediction, it was a diagnosis.
That's it. They moved from just watching the clock to actually managing the risk. If a project was flagged as likely to be late, they could intervene that day.
That's the difference between reporting the weather and actually carrying an umbrella.
Or building a shelter before the storm even hits.
To help people do this, Fassio actually gives a prompt, a first prompt, and it's a beast.
It is. It's a masterclass in prompt engineering.
He basically tells the AI in one go. Analyze this, look for leakage, find features, train a baseline, then train 2 better models, test them, and summarize everything in plain English.
The order there is so important. He forces the AI to check for leakage before it builds anything. He demands a baseline before the fancy model.
He's programming the AI to be its own skeptic.
That is the only way to use these tools safely. You have to prompt it to police itself.
And that really speaks to Fassio's whole vibe. The article says he doesn't sell fairy dust.
Yeah, he's focused on adoption that sticks. There's a quote I loved. A model nobody uses is just an expensive hobby.
That is the core truth, isn't it? If the manager doesn't trust it, they'll just go back to their spreadsheet.
They will. So the goal isn't just accuracy, it's practical accuracy. It's giving people a number they can trust just enough to make a better decision.
We have covered a ton of ground. From vibes to baselines, the 3-tool stack, the abyss of data leakage.
It's a lot, but the barrier to entry has honestly never been lower.
It really hasn't. You just need a clean data set, a cautious mindset, and maybe 4 hours.
And I'd add a willingness to be wrong at first.
That is key.
You know, I want to leave the listener with a thought here. Think about your job right now. I guarantee there is one metric, one number that everyone in your office just guesses at.
The one thing everyone has an opinion on, but no data for.
Exactly. Maybe it's, will this new hire work out? Or will this campaign flop? Now, what would happen if next week you walked into that meeting not with an opinion, but with a 72% probability model based on the last 2 years of actual data?
You completely changed the conversation.
You stop the guessing game. That's the power here.
Thanks for listening to the Reflect Podcast, where we're telling the future. Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.